evening. Good evening. Welcome back to the Wellness Convos. You've joined us at The Joy Is Just Over Yonder, the podcast. We are so excited for this fifth season that we are bringing to you because we are doing it in podcast form as well as our live streaming. So I have a wonderful guest with us here today. I'm going to introduce her very shortly, but we just want to remind you that Wrapped in Wellness, the overflow is coming to you exactly just under 30 days from now. So we are featuring some of our speakers that are going to be presenting to you that weekend. And the awesome and dynamic Dr. Vikki Johnson is one of those phenomenal people who will be pouring into your wells. So I'm going to just give you a short, brief bio of her. She has an extensive bio for all the things that she has endeavored over the years. For one, she is a dynamic speaker who is an impassioned author whose words have touched thousands of women across the world. She is the chief executive officer of Soul Wealth LLC, which is the parent company of the Soul Wealth Academy. Her purpose is to help women rise above their current circumstances to boldly and confidently live an amazing life. Get to know Dr. Vikki. She is a phenomenal mentor. She is my mentor. I have been blessed to be a part of the Soul Wealth Tribe. And when I tell you that her dynamic presence helps change the trajectory of your life, I mean that authentically and sincerely. Her mission to empower and equip women to invest in their soul wealth she has the ability to influence thousands of women through her work with corporations, nonprofits, conference groups, and more. She is the author of 12 books, and Vikki provides insights for women on their spiritual, mental, emotional, and relational well-being. You can find her books and other products on her website, VikkiJohnson.com, and you can follow her on all things Vikki on social media. But today, guess what? You get her live and in person for your viewing convenience, and we are going to be talking a little bit about let your soul flow. So welcome, Dr. Vikki. We are so excited to have you here with us today, coming off the holidays and in the holiday season. But you know what? As people look at the closing of a year and reflect, there's still always room to do a little bit more as we close out the year and reflect. So I thought you would be the perfect guest to kind of sum up how you can let your soul flow into the new year and allow the people to get a touch of what they can expect in January at Wrapped in Wellness. So
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you so much, Lakisha. I am excited about Wrapped in Wellness 2023, the end of January. Looking forward to serving, looking forward to supporting and sharing with the women who are going to put themselves first and make themselves priority and invest in themselves to prepare for the new year. So definitely looking forward to sharing soul wealth and happy to be with you this evening.
Thank you so much. And now I gave them a brief bio of kind of who you are, but of course it doesn't encompass all that you do. First of all, Soul Wealth.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit more about that and how you decided that soul wealth was your passion and mission in the world.
Well, in 3rd John in scripture in the New Testament, the scripture says God desires that we prosper and be in health, good health, even as our souls prosper. And that scripture was illuminated to me now, probably almost 10 years ago. And after doing further study and following curiosity, because the more we learn, the more questions we should have. That's
Mhm.
how you grow and evolve and expand. And in doing that search, if you will, that research, that journey, that exploring, asking those questions, I understood that our soul is the seat of our emotions.
Mhm.
And our lives can only be as healthy, truly, as the state of our emotions. So, regardless of how much we accomplish, how many assets we acquire, if our soul is not healthy, if our
Mhm.
soul is not wealthy, then neither are we. We've just accumulated a lot of stuff, a lot of accomplishments, a lot of assets, because what good is a rich life in terms of things that we have if we don't have the emotional well-being or the
Mhm.
emotional regulation or the emotional wellness to enjoy it, to explore it, to exploit it, right? To expand it. So Soul Wealth was birthed almost 10 years ago when I was preparing for a TED Talk on the power of sacred sisterhood, which is when women connect, collaborate, and create community. The result is soul wealth. And after that TED talk that I did, which is on YouTube, um, where women can see it, after that TED talk came the Soul Wealth Academy, which is a community where I mentor women. I now have Soul Wealth products and apparel. And in 2019, just before the pandemic started in March of 2020, or when we became aware of it, I
Mhm.
released Soul Wealth, Finding Vision, Compassion, Authenticity, Abundance, and Legacy in the Midst of Chaos, which is my most recent book that I released. And I know it was divinely ordered because it, like I said, was released in August of 2019 and we went into lockdown March of 2020. So
Mhm.
it became a handbook for so many people, women and men alike, and it is still blessing people. And so the five tenets of soul wealth again are vision, compassion, authenticity, abundance, and legacy. First in your life, because you can't give away what you don't have.
Right.
So I guide women to those five principles of soul wealth and then inspire, motivate, encourage, and support them as they then share those tenets as them in the work that they do. And as it relates to you, wrapped in wellness, I touch souls. So it is for soul wealth to kind of flow through who we are, who we be, and then what we do. So my mission, my assignment is to flood the earth with soul wealth. That's what
Mhm.
I'm doing.
And you absolutely are doing that. And when we say flood, she is flooding it. It amazes me because when you think about flood water, you also think about, the ripple effect that occurs
Mhm.
thus forth. So as you create those waves, that flooding, that ripple effect has touched the lives of so many different women, and because of the touch and the influence and the impact and the encouragement that you give, they then go out and continue to flood
Yep.
the earth, so it is that ripple effect that that is the gift that keeps on giving. And part of that is because, like you said, that sacred sisterhood, the collaboration, the authenticity, which is one of the tenets I would like you to talk a little bit more about how when you become your authentic self and you operate in your authentic self, how much more you can accomplish, not just for yourself, but really finding your purpose. So can you talk a little bit about more about being authentic?
Sure. Well, authenticity is the third tenet
Mhm.
of soul wealth. So it's vision, compassion, authenticity, abundance, and then legacy. So being authentic, we are created to show up in the world as God is moving in us first, right? God is in us, moving through us as a conduit, And then as we show up in the world as the expression of God, I show up in the world as the expression of God as Vikki, you show up as Lakisha. So God shows up in us, through us, as us. That's the first thing. That is who we are authentically. We're not here to be a perfect duplication, imitation
Mm,
um, of anybody else. Like, no one can beat me being me, and neither can I be anyone being who they are. So that is the power of authenticity. Who are you? Why are you here? What are you called to do? Right? How are you called to do it? When are you called to do it? Now. So the power of becoming you, peeling away the layers of what life, society, your family, your teachers, anything that you've experienced up to this moment, the power is in peeling away the layers so that we get the raw version of you. And once you tap into that space, that place, that knowing, like, this is who I am,
mm,
this is why I am here, this is what I am called to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, and who I'm going to do it for, to, and or with. Now you're living an authentic life. What does authenticity feel like? It feels like peace. It
mm,
feels like flow. It feels like ease. It feels like I could do this all day.
mm,
It feels like this is absolutely heavenly for me. This is nourishing me. This is nurturing to me. What am I doing? I'm speaking adjectives that feel good, that add,
mm,
that multiply, that increase me, that expand me, that evolve me. So when I am being and doing the things that cause me to respond in those ways, now I'm living my authentic self. And the opposite of those adjectives is when you know you're being inauthentic, right? When it doesn't feel good, when it feels like it's gnawing at you, when it's pulling away from you, when it's dividing your peace, when it is subtracting from your
mm,
life of ease and flow, and when it feels, you know, difficult, like, ugh, I don't want to do this, you're not being authentic. Authenticity produces peace. As a
mm,
matter of fact, it produces perpetual peace because
mm,
you're now flowing in wellness, which is why I love talking about let your soul flow. Let it flow. And when you look at water that is flowing in the direction of the current,
mm,
you're with ease. Imagine going against the current. Think about walking into the ocean as the waves are coming toward you and you're walking against the ocean. There's resistance. Sometimes, so much resistance that it knocks you over.
mhm,
But if you turn around and go back toward the shore and you're flowing with the waves in the direction of the waves, it pushes you forward.
absolutely.
It's the same with life.
Mhm,
When you get in the flow of who you are authentically, it's going to push you forward into purpose, into who you're supposed to be to people, and ultimately into a place of perpetual peace. That's authenticity.
and literally when you gave the demonstration of, like, when you go against the current, like, I remember the last time I think we were at Myrtle Beach, but, like, I literally felt the waves again crushing against me, pushing me down to the ground because we were going against the current, the wave. And so when you experience that in life, the crushing, the waves coming against you, and you get knocked down, and you stand up, and you get knocked down again, and you are being resistant to the flow of where you should be going. I know one of your famous thing is agree with God quickly.
Yeah. So you
When
can have
you
peace.
so you can have that peace, so you can have
Mhm.
that
And good
authenticity.
will come to you. Good
Yes.
will come to you. And sometimes, let me just add this, sometimes you have to persist, right?
Mhm.
Against the waves, to get out into the deep.
Mm.
You can still be operating in purpose. You just have to be strategic when you are persisting against the waves to get into position. So sometimes there will be some opposition.
Mhm.
You just have to persist. And when you get out past the waves, out into the deep, now you are where you're supposed to be in your calling. And once again, you can flow. Or the deeper the water, the easier it is to float. So
Mhm.
the deeper you go into purpose, you can float. That's that ease that I
Right.
was talking about. So it's about knowing where you are, why you're there, and what you're supposed to be doing, which is the power of mentorship, which is the
Mhm.
power of community, which is the power of having accountability when you are flowing, right? From a well, WELL, from a well
Mhm.
soul, right? When you're flowing from a well soul and you have accountability and you're moving forward in purpose and you're in position and you're persisting and now you are just living in peace, good comes to you. Now, everything that you're supposed to have, every blessing, all of the favor, the harvest, the promise, it comes to you. You attract it. You become a magnet now for overflow. Now you're living a life of
Mhm.
perpetual prosperity. Wouldn't trade it. Wouldn't trade it. I love living this way.
Right. And I think it was during one of the retreats that perpetual fulfillment. I remember writing that in the sand, that perpetual fulfillment
Mhm.
that you embrace and that you feel when you are walking out
You
your
know what,
life and
Lakisha?
passion.
Let me just say, it
Mhm.
is, it's easy to be miserable.
Mm.
I was just having this conversation. It's easy to choose the hard way
Mhm.
because it's there. It requires a decision and then discipline to follow that decision to live in wellness. That's why I love wrapped in wellness.
Mhm.
It requires a commitment to know that you deserve
Mhm.
to walk out life in wellness. And once you commit to that, once you decide I'm going to consistently invest in my wellness, then you get to live in ease and flow.
Mhm.
It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. And no judgment, no condemnation. You know, some people are addicted to their story until they get tired of telling their story,
Mhm.
right? Because that's all they know. That's how they know to get attention.
Right.
I am here today and will show up standing shoulder to shoulder with you and the other presenters to say, there is another way,
Mhm.
that you have options. You can do this differently. And you can do it from a place of wellness and from a place of always having a well, right? To reach down into and
Mhm.
pull up out of that well whatever you need to continue to live in wellness. Like
Yeah.
it's just you repeat it. And that's the discipline, that's the commitment, that's the consistency to doing and being and having that space, this kind of space of community. Not to mention that you touch souls. Hello.
Hello.
So we get to
Absolutely.
walk it out, right? We get to walk it out in
Mhm.
complete and total wellness. God desires that we prosper and be in health in every way, even as our souls prosper.
Absolutely. And that's how we used to in wrapped and when I thought of wrapped in wellness came to me because we a lot of times people think of wellness and they just so focus on the physical aspect of life, am I building muscle? But it's like there is when you go deep into the wells, whether it's how to move well with that physical, but how to be well, how to heal well. What steps is it going to take for me to heal well and completely? And that knowing that it's going to be a journey. Um, the mental well, making sure that we are emotionally well. There are so many different wells that makes up the whole person, and wrapped in wellness, has been able to bring those different aspects of the whole person under one roof and have just phenomenal people explore that. And when you talked about the story, because I had to say that to someone not too long ago, is that, you know, if that's the narrative you want to keep living out, then I'm sorry, but I cannot take a role in that story. Like, I will not continue to enable you if that's the narrative that you want to keep repeating for yourself. And sometimes it's hard to pull yourself out of someone else's narrative because of the emotions that are involved,
Can I challenge
the
that?
soul ties
Can
that
I
you.
challenge that? Can I
Yes.
challenge that? I'm gonna challenge that. It's not hard.
Right. It's
No, no, no.
yeah.
I
You
want
true.
to challenge that. I want
Mhm.
to challenge that because that's what I'm talking about. In
Mhm.
every moment, and this is something that I'm starting to practice more. Okay,
Right.
which is why I'm so passionate about sharing it. It's not hard when you make a decision that I'm going to live in ease.
Mhm.
When you make a decision, when I made a decision that I am going to live in ease, when I encounter hard, I immediately choose something else, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't mean we don't love people. It doesn't mean we don't want to be connected to people. It means we get to choose how we experience them and when and how much access we give them
Mhm.
to us. It's not hard, right? Because when we come to understand that the only person we can control as adults
Yes. Mhm.
is me.
Yes.
So my mother used to say, and still says, if you like it, I love it. If you can live with it, I can look at it. That's what my mom says,
Mhm.
right? And I used to be like, why does she say that all the time? Because there's power in minding your business.
Yes.
No
Yeah.
judgment. So I just had to interrupt that. It used to be that so many of our heartbeats would be given to others who are committed to not changing.
Mhm.
Not anymore. I am just here to offer there is another way. There is another way. And you share the information of wellness, of how to
Mhm.
be wrapped in wellness. You put it out there. Look at the opportunity that you have created, pulling us all together. Now women get to choose. Do I want to be
Right.
wrapped in wellness? And that's not to say this is the only, right,
Mhm.
community, because it's not. But here is an opportunity for you to be wrapped in wellness so that you can live your best life starting now, from the moment you make that investment, from the moment you make the decision. Because the thing is this, if your car broke down, and you had to pay $1,800 to get it running again, you find it.
Mhm.
And that illustration, when I heard it, shifted everything for me because I'm more valuable than a vehicle.
Right.
So when I even a vehicle needs a tune-up, even a vehicle needs maintenance, even a vehicle needs an oil change every
3
3,000
months or
miles.
whatever.
Even a
Yes.
vehicle needs fuel or a charge. When the charge is out, you got to recharge. It's the same with us. So thank you for creating this portal of Wrapped in Wellness. That is an opportunity. You got Exxon, you got Shell, you got BP, you got Royal Farm, you got Wawa. You got all kinds of, brands that you can choose from to refuel. Thank you for
Mhm.
creating Wrapped in Wellness and giving sisters this option as one, because it's a powerful one. And I'm just really grateful to be able to share, from the space of soul wealth
Mhm.
and letting your soul flow.
And we appreciate that. And I do. And I love how you said that. Because, yeah, it's like that once you have the mind shift, it's it's easy. But like you said, you have to commit to your own decision. You have to commit to how you are going to move differently in your space.
And when you
Um,
get out of alignment, just
Mhm.
get back in
Just get
alignment.
back in. Like they said, you can get back on the bus. You don't have to stay by the roadside. You can get back on the bus and keep moving forward. So amazing. So let your soul flow. You have touched on it often throughout this conversation. And when you are doing it, for the people who are stuck, who find it hard to make that shift or the decision, you've kind of given them the roadmap already. Whether it's agree with God quickly, decide what your narrative is going to be. Um, what are some important things along your journey that help you just shift that whole dynamic?
You got to know that you have options. People suffer when they feel like they don't have another choice.
Mm,
You always have another choice. That's right. Like, that's it in a nutshell. I think what's most important is to make a decision. Know that you have another choice. Don't wait to feel like you have one. I'm telling you, you have one. Hear me, hear me, receive that, and then do it. Hear, receive, and do. You have another choice. You don't have to be stuck. Decide right now,
mhm,
I will no longer be stuck. And then write that down 20 times every day. I will no longer be stuck. I am
mhm,
no longer stuck. I am no longer stuck. I am moving forward. I am moving forward. I am moving forward. I choose me. I choose me. I choose to live a different way. Right. And as you begin to script out literally your life and give thanks for it and live in gratitude and exercise the power of choice, because in every moment we live at choice. I've said that for years. In every moment we live at choice. So our life as it is today is the result of our choices. Period. Hard stop.
mhm,
And even in times where you could not control what happened to you, you do get to choose how you respond to it. So in every moment, we live at choice. I can choose to be angry and let my anger take me out of here because it's increasing my blood pressure, which is causing me to not feel well
mhm.
and putting me in position of disease, dis-ease, lack of ease, which creates all kinds of health challenges and issues. Or I can cast my care upon God, for I know that God cares for me, right? And I know that I have, 2 Corinthians 9 says, I have all sufficiency in all things unto every good work, because the grace of God is extended toward me in every area of my life. So it's choosing to believe that things can be different. And God is able to make all grace abound toward me, meaning I have more than enough grace, more than enough favor to do the first thing, which is choose me. And in choosing me, I need, what do you need? What do you need to create? Who do you need to connect to? What community do you need to be part of? Because you cannot solve a problem around the same people who contributed to creating the problem.
That's an absolute. Absolute.
You can't. And that's why I said choose your hard, right? You can choose the hard of it's hard to let go, or you can choose the hard slash becoming easier every time you choose you of let me step into the unknown. I get that. Sometimes people are hesitant. It's like let me just stay with the devil I know. Let me stay with the hard
Mhm,
that I know instead of stepping into an unknown space of hard I don't know. Well, who says it has to be hard? Again, life and death and life is in the power of the tongue. We have
yeah.
what we say. So I speak and say, it's easy. I have everything I need. The grace of God abounds toward me to create a life I love, wrapped in wellness. That is soul wealth. It's the same. It's the same energy. Wrapped in wellness and soul wealth is the same energy.
Hmm.
And so I go back to it starts with choice.
It starts with choice. And I think
Mhm.
that's a perfect lead in as we cut to our commercial break to you have a choice. Like I said, you have a choice on how you get well, when you decide to get well. So we're going to cut to a short break to show you what Wrapped in Wellness has to offer you. And there you are. So, Wrapped in Wellness, Soul Wealth, Loving Me Always. Like you said, there's so many brands, there's so many opportunities, there's so many doors that are open for your choosing. You do have a choice. Um, there is a path that's available to each and every one of us to decide, we want to move with more ease and flow. And so I love that that's always the standing overall message. And like you said, living knowing there is choice. There is choice in the words that we speak. How we would decide to manifest that in our own lives through our own tongue, through our own actions, is part of living that perpetual life of fulfillment. Um, that is like etched in my brain now. Perpetual fulfillment every day. What can I do to live out perpetual fulfillment? And with I Touch Souls, it's that is definitely a conduit that allows me to do that. The power of, laying hands, putting hands, sending energy through people who are open and willing to receive it, and the exchange that happens there. um, so it's like when you find your happy place for yourself, but it impacts others in such a incredible and intimate way. It's just like that flow, that soul flow, I feel it. I feel it every time I come down here to this wellness suite, even if there is no one here, but just soon when I enter this space.
Yeah.
And not just when I enter this space, because it's within me.
Yeah.
When I enter space,
Mhm.
wherever I go, I take that energy with me. And so it is a phenomenal feeling to feel that you are operating in the flow that you're meant to operate in. And you played a huge part. And sometimes we have it, it's sitting on our shoulder, just sitting there, but you need somebody to come and knock it off so that it can be put in the atmosphere and actually being
Activated.
used and activated. And
Absolutely.
so I personally thank you for that day on May 28th, 22, 2022, that really activated me to move forth with I Touch Souls. The space has been sitting here for a year waiting to bless people. But this summer, having it activated and opening up the space so that people can come and have peace, come and have relaxation, come and have their release.
Mhm.
It has been a journey, and just look forward to all that is to come in 2023 as we expand and as we grow and as we eventually begin to teach others how to do reflexology and touch souls in a different way. So I just want to personally, publicly thank you for that blessing.
You're
Um,
welcome.
for that walk that we took.
Yeah, and you know what? As I reflect on that same day, it was a
Mhm.
beautiful day.
Beautiful
I
day.
remember looking in your eyes
Mhm.
and I said, Do my hand right now. Remember that?
Mhm.
And I said, I asked you a question and I said, How does that make you feel? You're like, I love it. It's heavenly.
Right. I was like almost drunk in it. Literally.
And I share that as a very real example
Mhm.
and I said, Lakisha, you can have that all the time.
Mhm.
That right there. That right there is what you can have all the time. And your shoulders went.
Yep.
When I saw that, I was like, girl, if you don't do a flyer and start and open up that space and start accepting clients, I don't know what else to tell you.
Right.
That's the next thing.
Mhm.
That's flow. That is flow. And the more you flow and give gratitude, express thanksgiving for the flow, the
Mhm.
more clients you attract. You don't even have to work hard.
Mhm.
People, you become a magnet.
Mhm.
You become a magnet. The more relational you become in this space of your flow, the more people want to come to it.
Right. That is it. That is so true. That's true. That's true. From initial clients to referrals, it keeps building.
To
Easy.
opportunities, to
Opportunity.
be in
Yes.
spaces, to
Mhm.
be introduced to new people. Like,
Yes.
the more grateful you are, the more doors open, the more
Mm.
people you meet, the more referrals you get. Like, it's cyclical in the best way.
Mhm.
That is flow.
Yes.
That is flow. And why you all need to come to Rapton Wellness.
Yes, absolutely. So that you can experience not just the flow, but the overflow that is awaiting you. We are just so grateful for this conversation. Dr. Vikki Johnson for making the time to have this wellness conversation with us on the Joy is Just Over Yonder podcast. We will be eventually, within the week, be uploading all of our interviews onto a podcast so that you can hear them and be able to take this information in over and over again. We stream live on Wednesday evenings at 7:15 Eastern Time on the Joy is Just Over Yonder page, as well as on our YouTube page. So you will be able to visually see these interviews, but also be able to get them in podcast form. So we're excited for, ending the year with this new expansion and like our guest has says, you have a choice right now. You don't have to wait to January 1st. You don't have to wait for it to officially be the new year to begin to work on what is my flow? What is the flow? Why am I still going against the current if I know that I'm not operating in my ebb and flow? Take some time, reflect over these last few days of the year and find out where you need to be. Now, on January 20th through the 22nd, where I suggest you be is at Wrapped in Wellness. 3.0, The Overflow. It will be held in Alexandria, Virginia at the Hampton Inn and Suites, and we have space for you. So come and join us, myself, Lakisha McGaney-Osei with I Touch Souls, Dr. Vikki Johnson with Soul Wealth, and so many others who you'll continue to see over the next few weeks that are ready to pour into your wells. So, Dr. Vikki, again, we thank you.
You're
If you
welcome.
have any closing remarks or lasting nuggets for the end of 2022. When we look back, like you said, you now everybody thinks things are kind of like pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. We've gone through like this 2.5 years, almost 3 years in this pandemic state, but 2023 is looking fresh for me.
Yeah. Me too.
So, what would you leave the people as they finalize this last few days?
When someone
Um,
is not doing well,
mm,
sometimes people say, "Oh, get well soon," you know,
mm,
get well soon. And I want to shift that a bit and say, be well now.
mm,
Be well now.
now, mm,
Be well now. How do you be well now? Make a different decision and run with that.
and run with it. There's nothing else more to say. Be well now, make the decision, and run with it.
Mhm.
So, on that note, we are going to go ahead and close out this episode of Wrapped in Wellness Conversations. And we want your feedback. Drop us some comments after you see this and tell us where you're running to and what you did to be well now. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week on Wrapped in Wellness. Peace and blessings.